Okay, we don't actually have $0 of income in April, but I am going to go over in this video what our budget for April is and how that's been affected by the coronavirus crisis. Alright guys, welcome to my channel if you're new. My name is Anthony. I make personal financial content so that you can live a fun and free life while navigating your finances confidently. That was some weird emphasis on some of those syllables right there, I'll tell you that. But while we go throughout this video, I'm going to be playing a screen recording of my EveryDollar app, which is the app that I use to budget with my wife and to track all of our expenses. That way you can see exactly what's coming in and going out throughout the month. Also, while we start off talking about this video, I am going to have to go in here and change all of our planned income from $0 to what it's actually going to end up being. So that's what I'll be doing now while we're talking a little bit about what is going on with the coronavirus and how that should change your budget. Now, honestly, budgeting is something that you need to be doing no matter what the situation is, but especially right now. If you don't have a budget right now, sit down tonight and make a budget with your spouse if you have one, or just by yourself, so that you can know how much money you have coming in and how much money you have going out that you need to spend in case you have something terrible happen to you, like losing your job or losing an income source. That way you'll be prepared for it and know how much you do have to make, or how much you'd have to borrow, or how much you'd have to pull from your emergency fund in order to cover any of those expenses. However, if you just make a budget and you don't track your expenses, you've kind of done half the battle. You made a plan, but you haven't really made sure you've stuck to the plan. So that's why I like the EveryDollar app. I'm going to be reviewing the best apps to budget with in the future, but just know that if you don't track your expenses and actually know if you stuck to the budget, you didn't really do yourself much good. And I've been talking for so long that my phone has decided to shut off, so I have to start a new screen recording. Alright, so first we're going to go over the income side of things, and this really hasn't changed too much for us. My wife is staying home from work now, however, I'm deemed an essential employee, so I'm still going into work. So Carissa is going to be bringing in about $21.50. She gets paid once a month, and I'm going to be getting paid $1,200 about per paycheck. We like to budget a little bit under what those numbers are. Hers are pretty consistent, but we are going to be changing her W-4 form to make sure that we have the correct taxes withheld. However, in general, I just like to be a little bit more conservative with our budgeting in terms of income. That way, when we have money coming in that's above what we've budgeted for, we're able to put all of that towards our goals, which right now are saving for a house, as well as giving and saving 10% of all that overage towards vacations, because we like to be adventurous. And then last but not least, in our income side of things, Carissa is actually working right now on her business website. But she's working on her business website right now for Carissa Creative, which is her own digital marketing thing that she's getting started right now. She has one client at the moment, and so she'll be bringing in $262.50. It'll actually be about $750, but we're saving some for operating expenses, retained earnings, and taxes, baby. So because of that, we're only taking home $262.50 out of it, and the rest of it we'll hopefully take home a little bit more later after we withheld for our taxes. And then in our expenses, the first category is the most important category, and that is our giving category. So we tithe 10% of our income. And so like I said, since we underestimate our income, when that does come in and it's a little bit higher, this tithe number is actually going to go up because it's 10% of whatever our income is coming in. And then we give an extra $100, and we have this bank account called the Treasure Fund that we utilize whenever we see good opportunities to give and just to bless people with it. After that, we have our savings. Our first is IRA, which is $1,000 that we budget every month so that we can max out our Roth IRAs. That will actually be going towards my IRA for last year, because you can actually contribute up till tax time of the following year for the previous year's IRA. And then after that, we have our house fund, which we have $100 that we're saving directly towards our house. And then, like I said, any overage amount that we either save out of our budget or get higher income-wise. You'll also notice that the IRA already has a little bit of green in there, which means we spent a little money. We put $200 in last Friday because I like the dollar cost average throughout the weeks. And I want to take advantage of these markets as they were a little bit down, and so I put $200 in that week, and then every Friday we're going to be investing that $200 as well. So there's 4 more Fridays in April, so it'll make the exact $1,000 at the end of April. We have our housing expenses, which are Wi-Fi, our electricity bill, OUC, our rent, and our utilities, which are our sewage or water that comes to separate utilities from our electricity. So we have those as separate expenses. After that, we have our transportation expenses. We have tolls, which are about $50. This has actually gone up because I recently got a new job, and I'm taking the toll roads on the way there, but on the way back, traffic is bad either way, so I just take the long way home because it's about the same amount of time since traffic gets a little bit worse coming home. We also have $50 for maintenance, which is for our car expenses. And so we use that if we need to get an oil change or if we need to replace any filters in the cars. But if we don't end up spending that money, which we normally don't in the month, I'll actually put it into a savings account that I have specifically for car problems, because we just ran into a $1,000 car problem, and if that happens again, we want to make sure that we're saving a little bit at a time for that. So that's where that money will go. And then about $200 for gas, and honestly, we can probably take that down, because since we are being quarantined and there's a stay-at-home rule here in Orlando, we need to make sure that we're living by that so that people are safe, so that we could probably take down to $100. But like I said, anything that we're able to save out of our budget, we put towards our house anyways, so I'm not really worried about it. Then we have our food budget, which our groceries are $300 a month for 2 people. We have $25 for coffee shops and $100 for eating out, and we could probably smash those together and say Uber Eats, because we're not going to be going out too much to go eating in restaurants, because no restaurants are open right now. And Carissa is very sad, and I agree, it's very sad, but a lot more Uber Eats, right? And then a lot of discretionary spending, as well as our phone budget, which we spend for 2 people for our phones, is $175 a month. Our discretionary budget, which basically is anything extra that we either miss out of the budget or just something that we want to buy that's $50 or less. Our personals budget, which is for like toiletries and things like that, and toilet paper if we can ever find some, or maybe we'll have to spend $200 on toilet paper, and then we might go a little bit over our personals budget. So if someone's got some cheap toilet paper, let us know. And then date fund, which will be $50, which will also probably be Uber Eats budget for this month. And more sad face from Carissa. And then our lifestyle budget. We have Spotify, which we spend for a subscription. We have YouTube, which is what this is right now. So any expenses that I have with the channel as I'm trying to grow it will go into this category. And if I don't spend that, it goes into a savings account, which we'll call the retained earnings for this business. As I'm starting to grow it, that account will hopefully grow as you guys continue to subscribe to the channel, which I thank you for doing, and smashing the like button. And then we have our community group, which is our small group that we lead with our church, and so that's $50 that we make sure that we spend on snacks or things for the small group, and we might have to buy someone Uber Eats or something this month, because I don't know if we'll be able to spend that. And so we're going to buy the community group leader named Carissa Bodanza the Uber Eats for the community group tab. So you can see all this extra money is kind of going towards Uber Eats, and we don't do that much, but come quarantine time, it's not breaking the budget because it's in the budget. And that should be your motto. Ooh, that'd be good on a shirt. She's not a finance nerd like me, so she thinks that it's dumb. And it is dumb, but I'm a nerd and I love it. And then we have our insurances, which are important. Life insurance and auto insurance, which are normal. And then, like I said at the bottom here, we have our spending plan. So 10% of all the overage we put towards giving, 10% towards vacation, and 80% towards housing. And I really recommend you do this with your budgets. So any money that you have that is above what you've budgeted, or any money that you can squeeze out of the budget, you put in this plan where you break down in percentages. And maybe it's not percentages for you. Maybe you have this extra $30 item that you don't know if you can buy that month because it might be out of budget, but if you're able to squeeze it out of the budget, or you make an extra $30, you have it as your number 1 item in your spending plan, so you put money there first. And then anything after that you can put in percentage breakdowns like we do for our goals, which are going on more vacations and being more adventurous and buying a house and making sure that we're giving a lot. Honestly, I know that we are very blessed and lucky to not have been affected income-wise yet from the coronavirus. If you have been, or if you have any questions about how to update your budget because of that, let me know in the comments down below. But just some general thoughts and guidelines that I have for budgeting in a pandemic. First of all, make sure that you are reining in your spending. I know that it sounds like we're spending a lot right now because of all that Uber Eats that I said. However, that's all money that we would have been spending anyways in other categories that we do spend every month, and our income hasn't gone down, and we're cutting back in other areas as well. And to be completely honest with you, we don't usually spend all the money that is in all of our categories. So our community group categories, our eating out categories, we normally end with $5 to $10 left in those. We'll likely use it all this month. However, since it's all budgeted for, it's not breaking the budget if you budget it. Another tip that I would have is if you do have lots of debt, make sure that you're current on your debt. However, it might be worth it for you to continue making minimum payments on your debt and stocking up a pile of cash for right now. If you don't feel secure in your job, make sure that you have more than $1,000 in your emergency fund. So, in this budget, if you're normally budgeting for getting rid of that debt, I do agree with you. That is the best return that you can have, is paying off that debt in these situations, especially if it's credit card debt, because it's 15 to 20% interest, and you're not going to find 15 to 20% returns guaranteed anywhere else. However, you need to make sure that your house is taken care of first. So if you're not sure whether or not you're going to have a job in a couple of months because you might work in an industry that's been affected, stock up on some cash right now so that you can get through those times and weather them. And so you might want to rein back a little bit on your budget and put some more into your savings account. Also, a third tip that I didn't put in here that I just made a video on that I recorded literally a couple of minutes before this one is the stimulus checks that are going to be hitting your accounts probably in April, maybe in May, but I think the government wants to get them out as soon as possible, so it'll probably be mid-April. That will obviously be on the income side, and everything that we've been talking about tip-wise in this video, make sure that you do that first. Make sure that you budget for it and track your expenses as to where that $1,200 is going to go. If you don't have an emergency fund, put it in a savings account and wait the situation out, and then put it towards your debt. And a fourth tip that I have for you in regards to your debt as well is see if you can call up your bank and get on a forbearance plan if you are affected by this coronavirus hardships. Many banks have these plans. I'm hesitant to say all of them, however, all of them should have these plans. So if you have debt with a couple of different banks, call them up and see if they have any forbearance plans. Many are 60 or 90 days, and they have a couple different options for you. One of the options is that you can defer payments for the 3 months and then make a full payment of all 3 months payments after these months are over. Another option is to have a repayment plan over months following this hardship. And another option is to have the 3 months added to the term of your loan. So if your loan was initially 10 months, then it'll be 13 months and you won't pay for these 3 months. Those are a couple different options that I've heard from some banks. However, I'm not sure what your options are. So reach out to your bank. They'll have a forbearance number that you can call and make sure that you get set up in those plans. However, don't just stop making payments because you will be behind and you will incur penalties and you will incur fees. You have to get on one of these forbearance plans and your account has to be added to that list. Otherwise, you will get in trouble with your bank. So make sure that you do that first. If these type of budget videos are something that you want to see in the future, definitely smash the like button on this video and subscribe down below. I'm really trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by our anniversary of September 1st, 2020.